Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of our Roundabout Life. This week we're kind of doing camping at home, and so it's a little bit different than what we normally do. We was hoping to be back on the road by now, but everybody knows we're still kind of under the stay at home, so a lot of things still not open. But what we are doing is we're getting ready to go out. And so we have been wanting to upgrade our grill and our camper for quite a while, and so while we're stuck at home we decided to go ahead and make that purchase. And so what we got was we went ahead and bought the 17-inch adventure ready Blackstone Grill, and this one came with the deep fryer. And so it's actually got a side burner on it. If you don't want to use the deep fryer part, you got the side burner, or you can put that on there and have the deep fryer. We kind of enjoy the deep fryer. We like our crispy fries, and so we've been playing with it some. And we've actually invited all of our kids over today, and we're going to show you a recipe later here on the grill. And then we also got a recipe for some homemade ice cream that tastes just like the Wendy's Frosty, and we want to share that with you and show you how we make that later in the video too. We're going to go over some things that we really like in our camper as far as accessories and stuff. So any of you first time campers that are looking to try to set your rig up, we'll give you some tips and advice on what we use and what we enjoy. That way you can get all your rig set up the way you want it to, so as soon as this stay-at-home order is all lifted, we can get on the road and get back out there and doing some camping.
I could do this every day. It don't matter what they say. I'm like, you better know we ain't never going home. Ain't never going home. You better know.
This grill right here is actually a Walmart exclusive. I tried to order it straight from Blackstone, but this is something that they've made up this package deal with Walmart, so you can only get it at Walmart. $147. It actually comes with a 17-inch Blackstone Griddle, and again, like I say, it does have the side burner on it. This whole deep fryer attachment comes with it. It actually comes with a thermometer with a clip, so it clips on the side, so you don't have to keep up with it. Basket, lid, and if you decide to take this off, all it does is lift up, pop right out, and you've got your side burner, and it's even got a lid for the side burner when not in use if you decide not to use the deep fryer. All of this is included for the package price. And I'll tell you what was neat was with this one, it even comes with a lid. Normally on some of the other Blackstone griddles, your lid is actually purchased separate. And then also this one comes where you can unhook this. You can use your regular 1 pound propane bottles, but it actually came with the adapter hose with the regulator, so you can hook it up to your 20 pound bottle, which I like better. And so, and again, this, just that hose alone is normally about a $20 option there. And so it's pretty neat that all this came bundled together. It's called an Adventure Ready because it does have the handles on it, so you can lift it, take it wherever you want to go. So we thought that would be really good for the camper and be able to load and unload in the camper. With your Blackstone Grill, this is cast steel, and so you do need to season it. And I know when I first read about Blackstones, I was a little intimidated about having to season it and how hard that would be. Let me tell you, it was super easy, guys. You can watch some videos out there where they tell you got to do 8 different layers with a certain kind of oil and all this kind of stuff. But I went straight to Blackstone. Todd Tover, he actually has a YouTube channel too, and he has lots of Blackstone videos out there. Go check him out if you're considering a Blackstone. He's got some great information out there. But he has a real quick video tutorial on how to season this, and it is as simple as you turn it on, you get it nice and hot, you turn it on high, take any oil you have, it ain't got to be a specialty oil, and just rub it in with paper towel, cloth, whatever you've got, and then as it burns off, put another layer of oil on there. Do that about 3 times, and you're ready to cook on it. What I did, as soon as I got that oil in there and got it good and seasoned, you'll see it start turning black, hence the name Blackstone. And we went ahead and cooked on it immediately. And it just helps, anything you're cooking, like especially the first time you do some onions or some real fatty meat or anything like that, helps season it. And it's kind of just like, cast iron, good old cast iron. I've used cast iron in the kitchen for years. and this is kind of the same principle. So don't freak out about seasoning it. It's got to be done a certain way or you'll ruin it and all that. It's simple. Just any kind of oil, get it good and seasoned, you're ready to cook.
I've been on the road, out here with the squad. Everybody tryna go, yeah, the party jumping off. Hey, we putting on a show, trying to catch a vibe. We do this every time, like na 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 na.
Okay, you can see here, I think we showed in the previous episode right after we first bought our little Debbie here. This pass-through goes all the way through to the other side. And so, you know, if you don't have some kind of storage boxes or something in here, everything kind of slides everywhere. So we actually found these boxes that we already had. We didn't actually go buy new ones. And we use these for storage in our garage and craft rooms and stuff like that. And so we found certain size boxes that would fit in here pretty good. And that way everything doesn't slide around. And we can kind of compartmentalize different aspects of things we need for the campers. So we got one box in here of just like, you know, like the sway control system and all that we use to hook up the camper with to the truck. And we have another box down here of where we have our chalks and stuff like that for the camper. And then we have our, these is the, we bought with our first camper. These are the Camco blocks. They're kind of like Legos, and they have always been very useful. You can see we've used them a lot because they're kind of discolored there. But you know, you can stack them up, and so you can use them for your landing gear, for your stabilizers. You know, if you're a little off there and need to sort those up, they come in these nice, convenient little bags. I actually have 2 sets here, and you know, you can even use them to level your camper with if you need to. You can put them under your tires. Now, one thing I have seen from fellow campers is sometimes if you're on like wet concrete or something like that, sometimes if you're trying to get them under a tire, they can slip. And so we are looking at the Anderson blocks, and maybe we may upgrade to those pretty soon. But that's what we started out with. We've been using those for over 5 years, and they work great. They're easy to store. And then here, you can see in this one, we have some outdoor rugs that we throw out whenever we get to the campsite, just to keep from tracking so much dirt in. But then there's our old grill, and it was in a tub, so it's easy to slide out and get to. And so we'll be upgrading our other grill. Our new grill with Blackstone is a little bit bigger than that one, so we're going to have to reconfigure a little bit here on how we store the new grill in this compartment on this side. So again, we come through the pass-through on the other side. This side's where you have all your water hookups, your battery hookup, everything else. So it's slightly smaller on this side, which took me some getting used to because our other camper was actually wider. There's overall more cubic storage in this one than in our previous camper, but this opening on this side is a little smaller, so I had to learn to adjust to that. But again, you know, we keep a trusty level, and then same thing on this side. We have our boxes that we can pull out. So whenever we're hooking up, we keep everything on this side of everything that we hook up. We have electrical in one, and we have all of our water and everything in the other, hoses, everything like that. And we even have, if you take a look back up in there, we even have some camp chairs that we stack in there that slide in there very nicely. And it's just really convenient just to be able to pull out this container and get to what you want rather than having everything bundled up inside here. I've saw a lot of other campers and YouTubers. Some of them use milk crates, some of them use different types of boxes than these, but same principle as what we're doing. So you just got to find what works for you and what's going to help you stay organized. Because again, when you're setting up camp or breaking down camp to leave, you don't want to be in a frenzy of, you know, where is something at, where to put something, because that's when mistakes happen. And so I just, you know, I like to be very organized, and this just helps me keep my train of thought together as I'm setting up. I have everything for any particular part that I'm setting up all together, so that way I make sure I don't miss anything. And the other thing I like about these containers, they do have the little clasp that keeps the lid on there so it don't come flying off, it don't slide around. Now, like I said, this one is all my electrical. Right now the camper we do have hooked up here at the house, but I do keep an extra extension cord. Ours is 30 amp, you know, some campers are 50 amp. This camper here only has one air conditioning unit, so it's only a 30 amp. but I do keep an extra 25-foot cord just in case. I know it comes with the 25-foot cord, so that gives me 50 feet. Considering my camper's only 27 feet, then, you know I'm going to be able to hook up everywhere. We generally, you know, most places we've never had to use the extension. The one place the extension comes in handy for us, because my plug is in the very back of this camper. The other one was on the side. And so I never had to have an extension cord in the other camper. But when you go to Disney, and you know, we love Disney. It's our favorite place. It's when I got the extension cord. And because, and the reason why is because I know all the electrical at Disney is in the front. The water's in the front and the electrical's kind of towards the front. And so I was afraid, and they have some very long pads on some of the sides. And so when we go to Disney, we like to go back as far as we can so we have plenty of room to park the truck in the front. And so I was afraid with it being in the rear, I might not have enough cable to reach. And so I just went ahead. They're not very expensive. I'll put the links for these. And but I just like to keep one just in case. Now here at the house, we did when we had our other camper, we had an outlet mounted to the side of the house and had the electrical run so that we could plug in here at the house. The only thing we don't have here at the house currently is the sewer hookup, but we do have where we can hook up water. We do have where we can hook up electrical, and it just makes it convenient to us so we can come out when we're getting ready to pack. You know, we've got power if we want to, and you know, I'll be honest, sometimes we have the outdoor speakers on the camper here, and so, you know, when we have people over, whatever, if we're cooking out outside or something like that, sometimes we'll even flip the radio on so we can hear the stereo here when we're cooking out back. So, but we did have this mounted to the house. If you notice, I do have what they call a dog bone on this one, because when I originally hooked this up, my other camper was 50 amp. I just kind of assumed when I had that put in that we'd always have a 50 amp camper. Well, I learned things change. This camper was only 30 amp. And so I do have to use the 30 to 50 amp dog bone to convert it over. Now probably what I'm going to do is eventually upgrade this. You know, we're actually talking about building another house which will have a totally different setup. But if we end up staying here a little bit longer, what I'll end up doing is probably change this over to what's called a 100 amp, which will be a 50, a 30, and then you'll have a 20 amp, which is basically just your regular, you know, 3-prong grounded extension cord type thing. And that way I can hook up anything I want to. And I'll actually have an outlet right here so that I can hook up, you know, if I get to doing something here on the camper and I needed to do some power tools or something like that, I could hook everything up. But when I first put this in, I was a little bit more novice, didn't know any better, and so I just put the cheap one in, which was just the 50 amp straight one. It was easy to wire up. Now I did get an electrician to wire it up for me, but it was very easy. You can see my meters here, so my breaker panel is actually on the inside of the garage, just right inside here, so it was even a very short electrical hookup to hook this up. Alright, again, here's my other box. This is what I call my water box. It basically has my water hoses in it, sprayers, sprayer attachment for the camper, all that good stuff. I do like these little things. This is a regulator that just goes straight on your hose. I typically put this right on at the campground, right at the spigot where you hook your hose up, and then hook the hose in directly to this. I like this little thing because it does have the 90-degree elbow on it, and so when you come inside here in the camper, if you hook your hose straight up to here, it kind of has to bend and go down through here. And so, you know, I just don't like that excessive of a angle going down. And so by putting this in here, it gives me that 90-degree angle. And so I don't have to worry about that, you know, putting pressure on the hose or anything like that, trying to get down through the bottom here when we hook the water up. And again, that's personal preference. You don't have to have this by any means. I just found out it makes it a little bit more convenient to me. Now, the hose that we have switched to, this is not what we started out with. We was, again, when we started out, we kind of went with the hose that they gave us from the campground. And it was always getting kinked. It was always such a pain. You know, if it was cold, it didn't want to ramp up real good. And then, like I say, just if you wasn't careful with it, when you was stretching it out, it would get kinks in it. And so we went to this, which is, I'll show you the other one I got here, which is the 0G hose. If you notice, I keep a 25 foot and I keep a 50 foot. Between the two, I've never had to hook them together, but between the two, you're able to hook up anywhere you need to hook up. So far, most of the time I just use the 25. It's very rare you'll ever need the 50, but I do have it just in case. But you know, it's super lightweight. I mean, it doesn't kink. You can roll it out there any way you want to. And I mean, it's just super durable. And I just love these things. When we first decided to buy our first camper, which was our last camper, this is only our second camper. But I'll tell you, my biggest fear was the sewer hoses. Call it the poop tube, the stinky slinky, whatever you want to call it. I was absolutely terrified of having to use that and empty it.
He thought he would be Robin Williams from RV.
Yes, I mean, I no joke, I had nightmares about that movie RV and trying to empty this. And the first time we took the camper out, we took a very, very short trip just to make sure we remembered how to hook everything up and how to do everything before we took a long trip. And of course, it was at a park that didn't have sewer hookup. And so you had to go to the dump station as you was leaving the park. And you know, again, you know, it's pressure enough to do it the first time, but then when you have a line of people behind you waiting on you, and you just, I mean, it just feels like they're just, you know, watching every move you make. And so I was terrified. So before we ever got in that situation, I did tons of research on stinky slinkies. And I found out real quick that reading a lot of other blogs and stuff, that you know, obviously when you first buy a camper, they give you a little kit and they'll give you kind of most of your hoses and stuff you need. Now, they're adequate, don't get me wrong, but they're not as durable as some of the more aftermarket ones. So, and that was one of the things I read about the most, was the ones that you get that they give you, you know, they wear out pretty quick and can develop leaks. Well, again, I don't want to leak on a stinky slinky. And so the first purchase we made for our other camper was these Rhino Flex hoses. And I absolutely love them. One, they collapse up real small. They have caps so that, you know, when you're not in use, you can keep your caps on, so there's no worry about seepage. Of course, you know, I've learned since then that, you know, you always empty your black tank first, then your gray tank, and then if you do a rinse and everything, there's not any contaminants left in these hardly anyways, but again, better safe than sorry. Now, also on those, I bought 2 instead of 1. You know, one will stretch out, I think it's 15 feet on one of these, and most of the time that's going to be enough. But again, I knew in certain circumstances, again, talking about Disney, sometimes it can be a little bit further away than some of the other parks. And so when we had the other camper, I always kept 2. Now on this camper, the way the camper is laid out on this one, it actually has 2 exits. And so instead of having one connection point on the side of the camper, I have 2. I have one for the black in the middle, and then my kitchen's a rear kitchen. So it's far enough away from the bathroom that it's a separate exit. And so I have another hookup in the back. And so, you know, I went back and forth a lot on whether just to use one, you know, because you could easily hook up to your black and empty it, and then unhook and then hook it up to your gray, empty it, and just use one hose to be perfectly fine. And that's what a lot of people do. I kind of like to overthink things, and so I went and actually got a Y. And then I actually went and bought 2 more of these hoses, just to make sure I had enough length again. And so what I typically do, I typically only have to use 2. I use one on the gray hookup, one on the black. I run it down to this Y, and then of course from the Y I have a hose that goes into your sewer hookup at your campground, and obviously except in this goes into your sewer hookup. I do like these clear elbows, and so when I hook it up to the camper, this is the piece that hooks up to the camper, and then your hose hooks into this. That way I can kind of see what's going on in there, so I don't have to guess if it's still draining or anything like that. I can actually see it. And then it's really comes in handy whenever you do a rinse, because you can see if it's running clear or not. And to me, that's very important. I don't, like I say, I don't like stinky slinkies, so I want to keep it as clean as I can. And so clear is good, and this way I can see through it and see exactly what's going on in there. Along with your stinky slinkies, We do like this. It's made by Camco. Also, it's the Sidewinder. Has a little carry handle. But what this does is it'll spread out, and you can run your sewer hose down it. Because some places, especially Disney, the sewer connection is kind of raised up off the gravel, and so if you don't have something to raise your hose up a little bit, your hose kind of does this upward dip, and it doesn't drain real good. And so I always keep one of those to go with the Stinky Slinky. The other thing that we have recently purchased that we absolutely love, we purchased it when we bought this camper, was these X chocks. And what it does, it goes right in there between your tires, and then it comes with its own wrench, and it just simply goes on here, and you can tighten it up. And what this does is it keeps the wheels from shifting. So when you're walking in your camper and everything, it cuts down on the movement a whole lot more than just using your corner stabilizer jacks. We didn't have these with our last camper, and that was the biggest complaint we always got from the kids. You know, anytime anybody walked in the camper, you could kind of feel it move a little bit. This eliminates the majority of that. One more thing, guys, is we also, when we purchased this travel trailer, we bought this Anderson block for the tongue jack, and I'm telling you what, I really fell in love with it. I mean, it's such a simple piece. We used to use the Camco stackable ones, but this one is so big that, I mean, you don't have to lower your tongue jack very far at all to get everything leveled up. And it is heavy duty, but it's light as far as weight's concerned. So whenever you're having to break camp, you can easily just pick that up, toss it right into your compartment there, and be ready to hit the road. And then last, but definitely not least, is your wheel chocks. These may be the simplest, but most important thing you can have. They make cheap ones of these, and I do not advise them. These are actually tractor trailer, semi-truck chocks that I've got for these. They are very heavy, and they're rubber, but they're very stiff rubber. And so when you put these in place, they are not going to slip. They're not going to slide. With those, you know your camper's not going to roll away from you. If you happen to be on a slight incline, and you know, especially with fifth wheels, if you get into a camper, a lot of newer campers now are getting into this auto leveling system, especially a lot of your fifth wheels. And you've got to be super careful with those, because as it's auto leveling, if one of your tires come up off the ground a little bit, it can shift. And so you need to make sure you have a big enough chock that it's not going anywhere. And so again, that's my 2 cents on those, but I think the chocks is one of the most important things you can get. And so, you know, make sure you get a heavy duty one.
This is where I wanna stay. I could do this every day. It don't matter what they say. I'm like, you better know we ain't never going home.
We have invited all 4 of our kids to come to lunch today, and they have come and brought their extended family. So we have our son-in-law and both of our grandkids here today. So we need to cook a really big meal because we're big people and we're really hungry. And so we took this recipe for what we call Philly Cheatsteaks, Philly Cheatsteaks. Because they're made with ground beef rather than steak, and we have just expanded it. So we have got 4 pounds of ground beef here that we're just going to throw on a very, very hot grill, and then Randall's going to cook it up for us.
The good thing about this new griddle, the Blackstone Griddle here, is you can just throw all this on here at once. You can chop it, you can do whatever. You ain't got to worry about scratching any kind of surface or anything like that. And honestly, with this stuff, we actually use a little bit fattier meat than what we would normally cook with inside, simply because it gives us extra grease on anything, and it actually helps season the grill even more.
And the grease drains off the back into a tray.
Yes, that's the wonderful thing about this griddle here, is it's got what they call the rear grease management system, where it's got a little thing, it just drips right up back out into a little pan we got inserted in the back. You get done cooking, you just toss it.
And that's a whole plate onion.
And again, we're just going to saute this onion up, folks. And then we're going to mix it all in together.
That's 1.5 bell peppers.
Like I said, good thing here, you can just cook everything all in together. Once it starts getting cooked up, just keep mixing it in together here.
2 containers of mushrooms.
And we'll just let these soften up. We'll let these soak up some of that oil. We'll continue working everything in here to our beef. And then what we'll do at the end, we'll actually bring the rolls out here. We'll throw them on here so it'll brown them up real good. And they'll soak up some of this grease. And it is some of the best Philly cheesesteaks you ever had.
Toss the cheese.
We're just tossing cheese.
What we do here, guys, just throw the cheese right in here. Just fold it in with everything else. It'll meld up and get through your whole thing. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could use the real cheese whiz on this, but we just found the slices to be a little bit more convenient.
Okay, so to make this fantastic ice cream that is Randall's all-time favorite, super, super easy. 1/2 gallon of chocolate milk, a 16-ounce tub of Cool Whip or any brand whip topping, thawed, and 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. This is 14 ounces. And you just mix this up, put it in your ice cream maker, and let it freeze. Our favorite ice cream maker just because it's a 6-quart capacity, and this recipe is exactly enough to fill this. We just pour it in. Add the paddle. And then Randall gets to start watching the ice.
Everybody tryna go, yeah, the party jumping off. Hey, we putting on a show, tryna catch a vibe. We do this every time, like feeling like I'm on the highway, cause everything been going my way. And now they looking at me sideways. I'm like, nah, 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 nah. This is where I wanna be, nah, nah, nah. Never ever gonna leave, nah, nah, nah. You ain't taking it from me. I'm like, nah, 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 nah. This is where I wanna stay, nah, nah, nah. I could do this every day, nah, nah, nah. It don't matter what they say. I'm like, nah, 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 nah. Say, hey, I've been on the wave. It's a party.
Alright guys, we hope that kind of shows you some tips and tricks on storage for the camper, some of the items we use. We hope you love seeing some of our new recipe for our Blackstone Griddle, and also our ice cream recipe. We love that ice. I love that ice cream. It tastes just like a Wendy's Frosty. And so anytime I get a chance to get anybody around and do it, I love making that ice cream. So we know it's a little bit different video again this week, guys. We apologize. I know you want to see videos on the road. We hope to be back out there soon, and again, we're just trying to give you as much information as we can while you're not able to travel either, to hopefully make your trip the best it can be whenever you get to go out too. As always, guys, if you got any questions, comments, anything like that, you can leave comments below. We've got our website out there, ourroundaboutlife.com. There's many ways you can get in touch with us. Please reach out to us. We'll be happy to answer, talk to you, and help you in any way we can. And we can't wait to see you again next week.
Better know we ain't never going home. Ain't never going home. You better know we ain't never going home. Ain't never going